There we go. Let me turn my YouTube off. So yeah, I did not mention that, but if we could mute our YouTubes, and you're fine to unmute, Tudy. We're great to go now. If we can also mute our YouTubes, that would be awesome so that we won't get any feedback. And I'm going to work on doing the description and things like that. Let me turn this down. There we go. Just bear with me one moment. And that's the organic flow of this. I'm still learning. You got to multitask. And let me share this to our Holly Springs group to honor my word. We'll be able to get some live viewers in. And also, before we begin, bear with me. Let's see. And okay, so I got it to that main page, and man, I'm about to do so to my Twitter platform as well as main Facebook. And while I'm doing that, it is where it is right now. I know that the only thing I was able to ask you before we began.
I don't know what happened, Willie.
There we go. Did I get kicked off?
Yeah, you froze up or something. I don't know what
Okay.
happened.
That was, let me ensure I'm back live on YouTube. I got a VPN on this Mac, and I needed to restart my device before beginning, but I didn't. So I just turned it completely off. We should be great. If it interrupts again, excuse me, and we'll get it resolved. But I trust we'll be fine. What was the last thing that you heard me say? I know I was going in.
The only thing I heard you say was you only got to ask me a few questions before we began.
Got it. Yeah. And I know we were mentioned that we have about 30 to 45 minutes to spare tonight. Let me just ensure this thing is going live, Tudy. And that's the thing about going live, is going to be organic. We're going to have our kinks. Looks like we're great. So, yep, let's continue on. So, in respect to your time, as I was mentioning before, I was cut off. Tudy and I, we go back to our childhood days, Holly Springs, Mississippi. She is one of we hear about male athletes often, but our town had a plethora of dominant female athletes or competitors. And she was really known within the area big time at basketball. I remember that left hand. My son is a lefty. She was tough. She ran track as well. Great in the classroom. I mean, and she dubbed herself in my yearbook. I meant to get it, but that's something
No, don't.
that I won't put you out there like that then, but it was real sentimental for me. Something that her, along with others, is really helped guide me through my existence, and knowing that from our time, from our youth, being young children to more mature children per se, that you're viewed more than you may expect. And, like I said, it was really touching that she said those things, especially considering the fact that we used to go in with each other daily. So I'm talking about arguing. And I won't prolong it much longer. Tudy, I would like for you to take your time, go as short as long as you would like. I know you asked about the title of the topic of this build for Unitruth TV. This is the being the woman who's responsible for the name of the podcast, Unitruth Podcast, the world's first legitimate reality TV. That's what it is. Sounds like my twins are up there banging on the wall, enjoying
That's
themselves.
part of life.
Yeah,
That's part of life.
exactly.
We have,
Man,
we got to keep going on. Things happen, accident happen. But we still got to go on with life. We can't let nothing keep us from reaching our goals or getting where we need to go in life.
agreed. And with that, just a quick pause by me. I would like for you to take this moment, go as short as long as you may need. Tell us about you, who you are, what led you to even wanting to build with me on this platform, and also just our history. What do you remember about me? Because the last time we physically talked face to face, I'm talking about being literally face to face, was 2004. Am I correct on that?
Graduate. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's when we graduated Holly Springs High School. So you go ahead, and I'm going to be listening, number one, and sending these links as well.
Okay, well, what I remember about Willie is he always, we're in class, we was always in honor classes and other classes, and we always challenging each other. The thing about high school was nowadays, high school is not like school was when we was in school. We love to go to school. We always challenge each other. We was in a class like everybody challenged each other. We just didn't sit around and, you know, like these kids nowadays, they don't like school or whatever. If we didn't know we had classmates we can go to that can explain things to us and we can explain things to each other. And I was the type of person where if I'm in the classroom and I ain't know it, I raise my hand and ask questions. If anybody laugh, I'm finna scold them because you don't know either.
And what do you mean? I mean, you're clear, you're crystal clear, but we're in the South, and this is going to reach the masses globally eventually. Would you explain just a little more in depth as you're going? What do you mean by challenging, like being challenged or challenging each other? Thanks.
Well, challenging, I mean, like we was in math classes, it's like we held each other accountable, like our grades. Each one of us wanted to challenge each other to make grades better, to make each other better. If your grade was a 95, we wanted to get higher than a 95 or better. We challenging each other. Now kids don't care about their classmates or even associate or even talk to their classmates. When we was growing up, we made school fun, things that was going on. It was fun. We love to go to school, house it in the classrooms, in the hallways, but we made it, on time. Everything was like a competition and a challenge to challenge each other. Most of our classmates are successful and other things. We had a lot of athletes that really could have been NBA stars. And they just got overlooked because we're in a small town. We got a lot of athletes, a lot of scholars, a lot of smart people that could have went somewhere but got overlooked, and we didn't have the tools and things that we needed. Like we was being held back. We was being taught, but certain things that we wasn't being taught and we was being held back from.
Agreed. And I would like for you as well. That's a great opening statement for certain. And along with that, hey, I know this is live and we haven't rehearsed, we haven't spoken about anything, but this can be as raw as we want it to be. And I would like for you to explain some, if you even remember, just some of you and I personal occurrences, because I remember that's, everything has an opposite. And that those were some pretty strong points you mentioned. But I remember us really going at it, arguing almost daily, you and I. What would we be arguing about? And yeah, just go in with that, because I've been wanting to ask you that question for a while, because
Okay.
I just quite
So
frankly
we'll be
forgot.
even
But go
arguing
ahead, go ahead.
about your football team that you've been representing. What it is, the 49ers or somebody?
At the time it was, but now I'm a fan of my clients. Go ahead.
How long? You was the 49ers fan for a long time, and we'll
Yeah.
argue about that. We'll argue about basketball. We'll argue about any little thing. We'll argue about a topic we got to discuss, or we'll argue about Spanish. Something we doing in Spanish, or it'll just be any little thing that it's like everything was a debate. Or we're in chemistry class and the teacher said this, and we debating about that.
So
We always
essentially,
talk.
go ahead, go ahead.
We always talk as a teacher talking. We may have our own little discussion going on what she talking about, because you gonna say something and I'm gonna have something to say too.
Two peas in a pot, that's what they call it. But we were quite inquisitive, to say the least. Is what we didn't take things just because they was presented to us in that manner. If not putting words in your mouth, but if you would agree, we wanted to know more in so many words. I mean, are you essentially, does that align with what you
It's
were
like we
speaking of?
wanted to challenge ourselves more. It's like we was always trying to challenge ourselves and do better than what we was always challenging ourselves, basically. Like we was always testing our brain, see what's next. It was kind of like exciting skill to us.
Mm-hmm. And like, where did that go? Because I know you mentioned, like, my children, they aren't in that particular system anymore. But I know you mentioned that things are not what they used to be. How could that change? Because you and I both, we had children that are relatively at the age I know we should have children. Like, why wait until you're 30 and 40? Plus, being a product of our environment, we had them young. So we're not far removed from our children. How do you feel the change can be so drastic in such short, what we know as time?
I really don't know. No, really much hasn't changed. From what I see, it's just like if you don't change your environment, like a lot of people that still in our hometown seem like they still living in a circle or trying to impress each other. They're not thinking about the bigger picture outside of that town. It's like the small town syndrome.
Now,
And
I
they're not
agree.
thinking outside of the box.
What do you mean by the bigger picture and outside of the box? What is the bigger picture for you, and what is outside the box? As much as you're willing to explain and as comfortable you are with explaining, but as far as the transmission, you are clear. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm talking like outside of the box. It's other things that can be done and that we can do. But it's like in that small town, everybody is stuck inside of a box and they can't get out of it. But if you move outside of that town, you can seem like you can progress or get somewhere better around strangers or people you don't know, rather than in this small town. But when you go there to try to get help or anything that persists to changing or trying to get better, it's a roadblock there, or nobody can help you do these things. I have went through personal experiment in the town where I reached out to people and not naming any names. I reached out to certain people that were supposed to be powerful in this town, but all you get is runarounds. And I'm like, these people are supposed to be held in these positions in order to help certain people go places, but instead you're getting held back. They don't want you to progress.
How does that
It's
change?
like it's like we still stuck in slavery days, but people not paying attention to that.
Let's I'm with you again. You're flowing, and I'm with you, but you are really saying some profound, strong things that can be taken for granted if you've never been in the area. I was speaking to a brother earlier in the day, and I mentioned to him that states are not a physical thing. It's a correlation to our state of mind. Example, if I say a New York state of mind, you're thinking fast-paced hustle, like right now, quick. You're thinking rats. I know I think rats. You think the mob. You just think big city. You think pollution. If I say a Chicago state of mind, we know the first thing that comes to mind. Or if even I say in Hawaii or Costa Rica state of mind or an Alkebulian state of mind. And in Mississippi, the state of mind, the first thing we think of is slow. At least that's what I think of, along with obesity and things of that nature. Essentially slow. I mean, is that fair? Like, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think Mississippi if we were stereotyping, a generalization?
I'm glad you said that. You're right. Because when you go to other places, people think that people from Mississippi are slow. The way we talk, and basically guys like from other areas think that females from Mississippi are slow because we from Mississippi. I'm like, we have smart, intelligent, classy young ladies in Mississippi. Not everybody is slow, So not everybody is slow. Everybody is not uneducated. We have educated people, talented, educated people there.
For sure. And but going to the point you mentioned, the stigma, the general stigma of the area is, in so many words, at least acknowledged by you and I. When I asked a question and you mentioned, like, we kind of stuck in the slave position, the slave mentality. Would you elaborate on that? Like, how so? What's slavish about the area? Even, generally, as you would like to put it, I'm currently in Colorado, but like, when did you leave from the area? Do you notice it more when you left, like I did? Just expound on those for us.
I left about 20 years ago, and I don't see nothing have changed. Nothing really have changed. They put different people in different positions, but nothing is really changing. Some people are there. Some people there really are doing what they can do. Some are not. Some people are there, but they can only do so much. People are complaining, but people are not getting out and voting, and they're not getting out and voting and really keeping up with what's going on in their state. They're just like it was a Jim Crow law passed in January. How many people live in Mississippi know that? Or what that means?
I'm gonna tell you now, I don't, because I don't keep up with it. And, and the reason I don't keep up with it is because I know and hence why I'm doing this platform, this stage. I know that any type of change I want in an exterior manner will only happen if I go within. And with where we are, especially growing up, and you mentioned being graded on how we talk, which is usually slow and not an amplified lexicon. Well, the fact of the matter is that we learned that's programming. We learned that from our parents,
Our
respectively.
answer.
Our you and I meant to, and that's where I wanted to, and I'm going to improve. Wanted to begin this build because that's what knowledge is, with honoring our ancestors. Because without them, without you and our parents doing everything they did, no matter how we feel about our parents, they had to do everything that they did for you and I pass to cross, as well as their parents, as well as their parents. Now, Tudy, I know our parents are really rich where it counts, tradition, bloodline, etc. And we, my grandparents, four of them, except for one who was born in 30, they were born in the 20s. And we lived a long time and we spent a lot of time around them. So even with that being said, you and I are 4 generations removed from enslavement. I ask you, would you happen to know your great?
Hold on, let me stop you there.
Go ahead.
You said your grandparents. My dad was born in the 30s.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, my big mama, Liza Glover, 1930. Wow. So wow, that's amazing.
My dad was born in the 30s. So I have a lot of stories. I have a lot of knowledge just by growing up with my dad. I seen and been through things that people be like, what? What you know about that? Because I grew
Tell us
around my
about some
dad.
of those things, because you and I are not old. Like we look younger than some of these young people are walking around here these days. So,
right.
But yeah,
Somebody
go
thought
ahead,
I was
talk to
my
us.
daughter. Okay, listen, I grew up with my grandmother where she had the little bathroom wasn't inside of the house. You had to go outside of the house to use the restroom. We had the washing machine where you had to put the clothes in the washing machine and get the stick and, stir all that stuff and put it on the clothesline. My grandmama, it's just things that people be like, what?
Let me ask you a quick question about your grandmama. So your dad was born in the 30s. What about your grandmama? Do you know, because this is in line with honoring our ancestors who are our parents, do you know what year she was born?
I don't. I can
Roughly?
go find up.
No, nothing right. That's fine. Or what about, because if I'm 4 generations removed, like those are my grandparents that was born then. That was your dad. So that means you're likely 3 generations removed from enslavement. My question is, how can we be so keen on a being that allegedly stepped foot in this realm 2,000 years ago, but neither you and I can tell you much about our great grandparents? And and then you were speaking about your children. How would your dad feel? And you know this, and even how would you feel, more importantly? How would you feel if your children, your children's children, your grandchildren, their children knew as much as knew as much about you as you knew about your great grandparents? How would that make you feel? I know how that would make me feel. Go ahead.
That'll make me feel wonderful. Like I tell my kids all the time, challenge yourself, do something. Just challenge yourself. Challenge your mind,
I want to be
Kids
clear.
not.
Let me be clear, and I'm interjecting. Excuse me. Allow me to be clear. I was stating that, say if your great grandchildren who haven't, they aren't here yet, neither yours or mine. If they knew as much about you as you know about your great grandmother, like, do you know much about your great grandmama right now?
My great grandmama on my dad's side, no.
Okay.
But on my mom's side, yes, we like have a family tree. I have a cousin that keeps up with that, and that kind of like talks about the family tree and stuff like that.
And
See, I have a
how
cousin.
valuable is he? Like, how valuable is that? Because
See, I can look. My great great grandfather is a white man.
really, okay,
Yes.
got it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's what I'm just telling
Okay,
you. So
so
we
so
got
I,
it's
I
a
wanted
lot
to
of.
say I wanted to say this real briefly. The fact that you nor I maybe know our great great grandparents really well from a
Mhm,
maternal or paternal side, that is not a
mhm,
position I will want to be in with my great great grandchildren, especially since we're not far removed. And in honoring our ancestors who are our parents, it is vital to do things like your cousin is doing and things like
mhm.
my aunts, uncles, and cousins have done, because I'm not out there doing it. And you may not be out there doing it, investigating it like that, but we aren't designed really. I mean, we're capable of doing everything, but imagine if it was the foot's responsibility to brush our hair. I mean, some people can do that. Some people have to do that, but generally speaking, it's a unit, it's a team. The hand needs the foot, the leg, and etc. And we'll get on that before you move on. I know you mentioned some personal things if you would like to elaborate, because your spirits, you don't. I would say this firsthand. You don't look like at all what you've been through. That is a fact, and the same can be said for us. And the energy you had before we had the disruption really spoke on that. So, I mean, you are a beacon, not only for self, but for others and anybody who will watch this. And I know you know how I can be. Not much has changed in that department since we were in Holly Springs together. But I would like us to keep our parents in mind, because they are us and we are them. There's no way we should know more about someone we have no archaeological or legitimate evidence on, more than someone that is only a few generations removed from us that we have a direct bloodline to. We shouldn't know another man's family more than we know our own. There's just no ground for that. Either it's common
I agree.
sense or nonsense. But with us being so, it's an illusion. We're in an illusion. We're in a matrix.
Yeah.
You spoke about, and again, you look at when people see us, if we would not have said our age, if somebody just came in right now and asked what is the age of either of them, we may get some 25s and 30s. It is possible. It is possible. Looks can be deceiving, and that's not a negative thing. What I'm stating is the illusion is enslavement is ancient. That is the illusion. The
Mhm.
fact is, you and I shook hands with someone who shook hands with someone who was enslaved. That is the fact.
Mm. Yes.
And it's akin to counting to three. And when I ask questions, and this is the beautiful thing about you, I'm only coming to you from my heart, and I know you receive me in that exact manner. When I ask a
Mhm.
question, is to really make a point, and I usually know where we are, and I also meet us where we are. If I were to ask you to count to three, how would you proceed? Go.
1, 2, 3.
In the Western ideology is the only place where the 1 comes before the 0.
Mm-hmm.
The phallus coming before the womb.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I know I don't feel, knowing is greater than believing. The reason that I know things are distorted, essentially all over the place, is because of how we disrespect the womb. Part of the reason I was arguing with you, because I remember a little bit more detailed. We got quite heated sometimes. Do you remember that? Like on some personal things. Do you
Yeah,
remember? Talk about
you
that
gotta
because I don't want
remind
you.
me
You
now.
talk
You
about
gotta
it.
remind me.
You talked about my nose sometimes, and that was cool. Like we was going at it. It was. I don't remember the specifics, but I know you wrote Arguing Friend. We used to speak about it got personal sometimes. Do you ever remember it getting personal?
Hell, it probably got personal a lot of times. With my man.
Because you would be defined as a dominant personality. I wouldn't, and that's not a negative, but you're quite tough. I mean, that's you have a reputation of being tough and nobody to play with. Is that fair to say?
Well, sometimes you gotta stand firm on what you believe in. Sometimes when you sometimes people try to walk on you, so you gotta stand firm in what you believe in.
For sure. No, I
And
respect
I'm
it.
glad
Go
you
ahead.
said something about being tough, because I want to do a little elaborating on.
Go ahead.
I've been through some personal things as of lately. Well, it was like I was in a car accident on last year, February the 3rd, 2022. And it was a bad accident where my leg had to be almost amputated. My leg was in a shape where it looked like it went through a meat grinder. Mm. And I was on the highway on the ice for 2 hours waiting on ambulance to come get me.
2 hours?
2 hours. I'm sitting on the ground for 2 hours. The only thing I could do for those 2 hours were cover my head up and pray. So as I get to, after the 2 hours, I sit there. As I get to the hospital, I don't remember nothing going on in the ambulance or nothing, whatever. As I get to the hospital, the question asked was, do you want to save your leg or do you want to cut it off? I looked at them and I looked at my leg, which was, once I looked at it, it was like, ain't no way they can save my leg. But I told them, do everything in your power to save my leg. So I said that to say this. I was in the hospital for 30 days, went through about 30 surgeries, went through therapy, which still going through therapy. I said that to say this. I still have my leg. I'm walking, but I'm not walking like I used to. My leg don't look like it used to, but I'm still here. I'm grateful, I'm blessed, and I'm thankful. Because I could have been gone. I could have been dead. I lost 2 cousins to a car accident. And the way my car accident was, I got hit personally by a Hummer, my body. It hit my body. And I flew up in the air. And all I can remember is landing on the ground on my butt. And the only thing that was wrong with me was my leg. So I'm grateful, thankful. Can't do nothing but smile. Some people in worse shape than I am. So I can get up and walk, but I need support, until things get better, and I still have to have more surgeries. But I'm not the type to be asking for help or asking anybody for anything. I still have a family that I was working at the time. I still have a family that I got to take care of. But without my income, we took a dive. But I wasn't out here asking anybody for a GoFundMe, asking for a handout. I did the best thing I know how to do is pray and keep it moving.
Wow. So profound. And that's what I've always knew in you. Your resolve, your toughness, your will and I'm smiling because it's just beautiful to hear you detail the opposite of what you experienced. Because as we alluded to earlier, everything does have opposites. And these are things that I was aspiring to know in high school. We are electromagnetic beings. We're electrical, that's how our heart beats. And we're magnetic, that's how we attract women, especially. And being an energy vessel, energy, we emit currents or currency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you were to sail, like if you got on a boat right now or a ship and said you were going to go from the East Coast of America to Europe, it would be insane to believe it would be smooth sailing the entire way.
No, everything is like everybody go through trials and tribulations. In order for you to learn things, you got to go through things. You know, if you don't go through things, you got to learn from the things that you go through.
And a storm on that sail from America to Europe, a storm will come from nowhere.
Yes.
And here's what I mentioned in the build, a solo build. Imagine you right now in a room, you and I both, with 8 other individuals, and we had a book bag on. And in that book bag contained all of our problems. If we were to throw all of those book bags in another room and randomly go pick up somebody's problems, I trust you would agree with me that you would want to grab your own bag just like I would want to grab mine, because I don't want anyone else's problems. And that's where you and now we have a synchronicity, because a problem is a problem or an issue. And you know firsthand how my character is from yay high, and I don't see my daughter. You're aware of that. Parental alienation, and I won't, of course, mention names. I used to feel a little different than what I do now, but ultimately, that, you know, my co-creator is my co-creator, and we cannot deny our creations. But the fact of the matter, and I'm working on not saying that so much, but the point is, the truth is, as bad as I felt about that, I know that we only come into this realm due to contracts. This is higher truths right here. And if I was given a choice to experience what you did or experiencing what I currently am for the amount of time I am, I would choose the latter. I would. Does that make me bad? Does that make me good? No. But I don't take lightly what you're saying. And it does prove me right about what I knew in you. Not what I believe, is what I knew, your aura, because we're more than just a body, as you're aware. You know, we have a mental state. For example, you can think of something right now. You can think of being in Hawaii, but we cannot physically touch that thought.
Mm-hmm.
We also have had butterflies in our stomach. That is
Mm-hmm.
something we can't physically touch. So there's more to us than the vessel. In fact, the vessel is only the vehicle. That's all the vessel is. It is a vehicle
Mm-hmm.
for our soul. Your soul, your aura, is so transparent. It's so luminous. It can either
Mm-hmm.
be luminous or gloomy. A gloomy would be someone like Ted Bundy. I mean, of course, he wouldn't have an luminous astral body. So, in knowing that about you, it doesn't matter. Would we like this deal to get 1,000,000 views? Yeah. And we'll take care of the rest. And along, like you stated, some personal things I'm yet to publicly admit what I'm about to say right now. But this is legitimate reality TV. Due to my
Mm-hmm.
knowings of higher truths and my willingness to express them, as you've only known me to do since you know me, I believe you would concur on that. Things have transpired where me myself, with I haven't had income, heavy income, for the previous nearly 4 months now, on something that is that a crime was not committed or anything like that. And that is for right now is about as much as I can speak on that due to legalities, things of that nature. I won't go any deeper. Am I like you? Well, would I rather experience what you did or experience what I did, what I experienced with the alienation and the previous situation I just mentioned? I would take 2 over 1, respectively, because what you endured, I've almost endured. When I was playing with Trey, I did hurt my leg and a car came. It was a ball going into the street. I haven't publicly stated this, but we was playing basketball and a ball was heading into the street and there was cars coming and I didn't want the cars to like stop quick because of a ball. I was responsible for that. And without thought, I ran out there. But as I was running, at first the ground was flat, but we were on a parking lot and I didn't see it. And there was a
Yeah.
huge dip. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
running straight, but then my leg, the momentum went straight down and then locked. And the lady, she seen everything because she was driving up on the ball. She stopped her brakes. She got out the car. She touched me like this. Are you okay? And my children were just looking at me. I didn't have a cell phone. I don't keep a phone with me everywhere I go. When I spend time with my children, I'm spending time with them. But I could not move my leg. I all but thought it was broken. And she came. She was very caring. And eventually she told me she was a massage therapist. She would have been willing to do whatever I needed, I felt, but I said I was okay, although I wasn't. And I kind of crawled back until somebody else took me home. There was 2 gentlemen. It was a father and son. I flagged them down
Mm-hmm.
and I told them my story. And I just live right across the street and they took me home. So even with me saying all of what I wouldn't want to experience versus what I have, that leg situation could have been me. And the truth is a problem is a problem, and we don't allow, and this is what separates our generation from, I believe, the current generation. Our previous generations were akin to us. We don't allow our problems to define us. We don't play the victim role. And cut me off if you disagree with anything I'm saying. And because of that, our level of existence, I feel we get more out of it because of how we are. And we can be an inspiration to others, which is why I'm doing this. This is not my first choice of things I want to do on a day-to-day basis. I can promise you that. But I feel I have to because I'm gonna ask you, where can you go? And I know you mentioned your time frame, and this is the final question, and we'll move on. Let's look to do a part 2 for sure. Open discussion, because a lot has came and will come from this. My question for you as you conclude, like, just tell me, I kind of lost my train of thought as I was saying that. But just, I know, go ahead. I kind of lost my train of thought. But just tell me, oh yeah, the victim mentality. Just, what are you looking to accomplish? Why did you want to be on this platform? Why did you accept to be on this? Why did you accept the invite to come on this platform? And we'll conclude with that.
Okay, well, I logged into Facebook, which I normally don't be on there, and I seen that you was asking about what should I name my podcast. And so I normally roll through Facebook and see you talking about your daughter, constellations and all those things. So I said, well, with Willie, I think he might need Unitruth, which I got from universe and truth, which means Unitruth, which the truth will be revealed. That's what I think for you. And that's what I feel that you're going to get out there to the platform. That's what you're going to get out there to the people and the fan base or whatever, once everybody catch on or whatever. But right now, I know everything is small and you just getting it started. So I didn't mind coming on. I'm not doing anything but getting my kids ready to go to school or whatever. So I can speak for a little while, So okay. I thought maybe it Willie some little insight.
No, it helps.
I try to always give a positive vibe to people, even though I don't do my best or be feeling my best on a daily basis, considering I've been through a lot, and like the weather and rain and stuff play a role in me not feeling good or bad, because of my leg basically just rods and screws. But I get up every day and try to make sure that I move and try to do something, just move and exercise and stuff like that. Just that not giving up mentality and not letting nothing beat me as usual, still competitive, so.
Powerful. And in conclusion for me, did you have, I want to ask respectably, of course, we're fine to conclude, or would like to, express more just in general?
We're going to have to do a part 2, because right
let's
now,
do a part 2.
Less
than 60 seconds. I just want to reply to what you said. That's the paradox. Uni is a root. The root word is a root word for united, uni, togetherness, unite, and universe, verse is a root word for versus, to go against. So how can you be united but versus each other? It's a paradox. And I like Unitruth because the unity and the truth, it is about time. It is the age of truth, the age of Aquarius. And you mentioned my daughter, Amaya, who does the cosmos, the constellations. It all syncs. And I'm glad I asked the question, and I'm glad that you were here to provide that amazing title for the show. And we have nothing but we speaking collectively as a family, and everyone connected to me, have the utmost, grandest respect and admiration for not only what you are, but what you always been, which is only what you are, yourself. And we give thanks. I love you, and you have a beautiful day.
And I want to say something else right quick before we get off. I never thought that you would be a basketball coach.
What's that supposed to mean? Go ahead.
Doing with your son, and that's great. A lot of people may not say nothing or respond, but it's a lot of people looking. So I'm proud of you for doing that, and sharing views and your little insight. People watching, but they don't say nothing. But when you ask for stuff and ask for a genuine answer, I apply because I reply to you because I know you'll listen. Most people, like I can ask how many of y'all want to go in and start a business? You get nobody. But we're gonna have to do a part two because I
Let's do a
got
part two.
many more discussions that we need to discuss and a lot of stuff that need to be discussed that people are scared to talk about.
We'll do it. Have a great night. Wholeness.
You too. You have a blessed day, night, and take care of them babies.